Welcome to The One Thing on Edge Radio Australia. It's so lovely to have you here from all parts of the world. And my co-host Leanne is laughing. Why are you laughing, Leanne? No, don't.
Do you really want me to tell the viewers?
Please do not tell everybody why.
We needed a behind the scenes just before we started. Oh dear.
And great to have you here,
Thanks.
Leanne and Aaron.
Oh, you remember me this time?
Aaron,
No,
I remember you.
I know. Just three of you. Get a picture of the three of you. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Who are you?
And our special guest. So some of you might be familiar with Martine because she actually has a show on Edge, and we're just so happy that you've made the drive up here to be on the show today. What I'd love to do is to start by just letting people know a little bit about how awesome you are. So just a little
Talk
bit
me
about
up, ladies. Talk
just,
me up.
yeah, talk up, Willow. We all need to be talked up. So Martine grew up and was raised in rural Western Australia, and she moved to the city to study graphic design and media design after many years of living around the world and various work industries. And now she's come full circle back into media. Mm-hmm. And I think your show is on a Thursday at 2 p.m. AWST, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's Martine's Eco and Country Bites.
Oh, I'm getting to that.
Oh, sorry.
I'm glad
Martine's Eco and Country Bites.
I actually find that a bit of a tongue twister, so I'm glad that you said that.
You need to have another martini. It'll roll right off the tongue.
So Martine has worked with doctors in complementary medicine, Department of Education with Special Needs, and the Department of Environment in Forestry and Education. And she hosts the show that she just spoke about, Martine's Eco and Country Bites. And she's also a meditation, spiritual coach and healer, and has been for almost 30 years.
So after the intro, thanks for joining us today. That's the end of the show.
Well, I just think it's really important. And the show today is all about navigating our way out of COVID. Leanne, is this...
Navigating our way out of COVID.
Is this Pandora's box or what?
Look what Lisa's given to me.
Notes and all.
So I was aware of what Pandora's box was, but I didn't know that it was a vessel of unknown secrets. So according to, this is from Wikipedia, obviously.
It must be true.
It was filled with both hope and chaos. Now, once it was opened, it unleashed untold challenges, but also the potential for transformation. Now, what I want to know, Martine's Bites, is... do you think that that's what COVID was? A Pandora's box?
Ooh.
Okay, I think absolutely. I think that any situation that causes polarity is the opportunity for change, for a start.
Right.
But I'm going to roll it back even to before the word COVID really existed, where we called it coronavirus.
Okay, can we stop the whole thing now? You've all got notes except for me. I mean, come on, really. Really, I've got a paper aeroplane down here.
You threw yours away because you spat the dummy out because it was sitting on your keyboard and you thought that had disturbed everything.
Irrelevant.
It was disturbed way before that.
Well, let's go way back. Let's go back to when it was a coronavirus.
It's called the coronavirus, and now corona means the crown.
That's why we drink it.
That's right. And of course, it was all those memes about corona. You know, that was hilarious at the beginning. And then the fear factor really kicked in, and they changed it from corona to COVID-19. Mm-hmm. And so for me personally, it really kicked off in WA and hit me hard because I was in my own little bubble of Zen zone. Yep. I was meditating to the max in Bali, and I flew in the day before our borders closed.
Oh, close.
So basically I was organising spiritual and meditation retreats, and of course that went down the gurgler. Thanks, Mr. McGowan. And so that put the veto on that pretty much straight away because I was already organising those retreats. I was about to plan those. So, and then of course it started getting called COVID-19. And so
who changed the name?
Exactly.
Yeah, and why COVID-19?
And why
corona? Well, because it's a patent virus, and that's where me went down the rabbit hole, as I do. And I have been for almost 20 years. Okay. I looked and found so many patents, like US patent number 10130701B2 for the coronavirus, which is COVID-19. Then when you realize that if it's a manufactured or a patent virus,
Sure.
it's not naturally occurring. Let's put the lid straight on that.
But hang on, no. This was from bats having sex with pangolins.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a pangolin is.
I don't know.
Okay.
Is it
cross
monkeys
between-
now?
I don't know.
Is it a cross
Sorry.
between a penguin and
I've forgotten.
a pendulum?
I don't know. So for me, it was like by the end of probably March into the beginning of, it took me about 2 weeks to work out this is bollocks.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started getting all this video footage from the UK of how COVID-19 was being put in the 5G boxes on all of the 5G towers. And they had been doing that work for the whole shutdown and before. And they said they've been working on this project for more than 6 months. They said this rollout was planned.
Of course.
Wow, there
So
you go.
that to
bang,
me
from
was
the
just
horse's
a
mouth.
cherry on
Can
top
you just
of,
go back a step?
Mm.
What was being put in boxes?
it was a device. So a guy illegally opened up one of these little black boxes that was
Sure.
inside the 5G tower boxes. So there's
Yeah.
the outside part and then there's the inside.
Mhm.
And you're not supposed to open them. So they were installing them and this guy just went, something's up, I smell a rat. And so he said, I thought, bugger it, he did. So he opened it up and inside it, on the side of it, was COVID-19. And so what it was it was being able to track
Mhm.
through smart dust, through any kind of anything put inside the body that was emitting trackers who had the vaccine or not.
Right.
So to me, I'd sort of come full circle. That only took me 2 weeks.
Go back to the dust. How does that work?
Is that like fairy dust?
Well, it's a bit nanoparticles.
But yeah, I understand nanoparticles, but how can they have trackers in them? Dust.
What do you mean? They're microchips.
Tiny microchips.
That's correct. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you
I never
probably
heard
all saw
this
the
part.
footage. Okay,
Yeah,
so you all
I've
saw the
never
footage
heard
of
that
people who
part of
were
it.
sending off transmissions and being picked up. Well,
yeah.
that's exactly what it does.
But it's in the air through the dust, through these things that were
Well,
on the towers.
there has been a lot of indicators that a lot of smart dust was
Wow.
for that as well, to go inside the body so you can be read. And it was through 5G frequency. So
Yeah,
that's what this
it's the
gentleman had
5G stuff.
claimed. Disclaimer.
Yeah, what's a claim? Exactly right. Like
Yeah.
we don't know. We weren't there.
No.
But there's certainly
Well,
a
I saw it
that's
with
the
my own
first.
two
That's
little
the first time I
eyeballs.
heard about the
Yeah, that's
dust,
the first
and
I've heard
that's
of
why.
that. Yeah,
that's why I'm
myself.
curious. Yeah.
So yeah, when it comes to nanoparticles, they can be they can be transmitters and they go through a whole grid line of frequency.
Well, I'm just going to interrupt for a moment. Thank you, Debbie, for your comment there. She's put surviving COVID. It was such a relief to finally go back to living a normal life. Now, I'm going to put a little caveat on that. I don't think we've ever gone back to living a normal life. In fact, I don't ever want to go back to living a normal life.
because
At least we're not fighting over
glad.
toilet paper now.
No, that's right. That's right.
I wouldn't even say they've even gone back to anything. It destroyed both my businesses,
Yep.
and then eventually it cost me my marriage, almost cost me a lot more. I'm not going to go into the details of that. And then I end up having to sell my home from the amount of trauma that I went through during that period of time. And a lot of people I know that were suicidal, that still
absolutely.
haven't fully recovered. They lost all their businesses. So I don't think we've ever recovered. But as you said, Pandora's box is, what do we learn from this? This is either an opportunity to grow, learn, and evolve, or it's not. A lot of people saw the writing on the wall a lot earlier than others and did not partake in the experiment.
Look, Trish has just said the same thing. Thank you, Trish, for your comment there. Awake now, there's no going back.
Yeah,
Couldn't
exactly.
agree
Well
more.
done.
I agree.
Perfect.
And I don't want for any second for Debbie to feel like we're dismissing her comment.
Yeah,
Obviously
exactly.
not by any stretch of
Exactly.
imagination.
And I know
I
what she
understand that.
means.
Yeah, I completely understand
Yeah.
what she means. I'm just talking from my perspective.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about, we talk about our businesses or our homes.
Yeah.
Going back to our old lives. I mean, look, in my business that I was going very well, I'm going to carry on. I literally had 30 gigs, 6 months worth of work cancelled in 2 days.
Yeah.
My career was over. And the momentum stops things, and that is over. That part of my life is now over because that business was not recoverable. Right.
Yeah.
And I speak to people every single day who have gone through the same kind of experience.
Aaron, was that because you weren't jabbed?
That's because I wasn't jabbed.
Okay, so that would have been different for the people, like they wouldn't have been so adversely affected had they conformed, or they wouldn't have been so adversely affected like that.
That's spot on. So if I had gone and, because I mean, I felt it was to me, okay, we are in a relationship of coercive control, a domestic abusive relationship with our government. Okay, the fact is they forced people in. They said, do you want to keep your home? Do you want to keep your job? Do you want to keep your children fed? Well, if you're going to, then you have to have this jab.
Yeah.
I have never been anti-vaxxer. I've never been down that path. It's never been my thing.
I am now.
Yeah, but I'll tell you right now, but I don't like being forced into anything.
Yeah.
And if I feel that it's not right for me, I'm not going to take that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. That was the decision that I made, and I own that.
And the reason I'm saying that is that there will be people watching, and we've discussed this quite openly between us because we're all in the same position. And that's actually why we're such good friends now. Yeah. We've got a whole community because of it. But what we have discussed between ourselves many times is that there's a lot of people out there who did conform that weren't actually and aren't actually aware of how it affected us being locked out of restaurants. I mean, I'm wearing my T-shirt today. You can't see it on air, but it actually says protect our children. And I've got this around my neck. Because that was what I had to wear, short. I've got goosebumps, short 2.5 years ago, so that I didn't have to wear a mask.
Yeah, I had the same.
And let's be frank, okay? Frank's probably the wrong word because of a particular person here, but this is the behaviour of wearing a yellow star back in the 30s in Germany,
that's exactly it.
Having to wear a tag like that. So we were ostracised, and I don't for one second regret in any way, shape or form any of my decisions. I thank Debbie for saying that she's sorry about our experiences. I thoroughly agree with that.
Debbie.
And there's something I want to make very clear too. This is from me, I'm not speaking for anyone else, but I think it's incredibly important for all of us, whether you're jabbed or not jabbed, okay, just to understand each other and there's no judgment or negativity going in any direction, okay?
Yeah, there's no judgment on any of
we're
our
in this
part.
together.
We never wanted to be judged, but we were. But we never judged others for doing theirs. Ours was about having the opportunity to say no or yes when they gave no one an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So the opportunity wasn't there for us. But unlike you three, I actually had a great experience through COVID, even though I wasn't jabbed, because it lifted me out of this doldrum of a place, of a work, of a job, to someone that actually stepped out of a comfort zone and actually then went and achieved what I wanted to achieve. Okay. So I think it gave me the boost I needed to actually come in. Well, jeez. I wouldn't have met you lot, and then I wouldn't have the opportunities that have been presented now. And I think that pivot of COVID has done us all good in one sense or another, because anything monetary will always come back.
Sure. And you know what? You've made a great point, and we're joking about it. But okay, right now, this conversation we're having here in Edge would not exist without COVID, right? So this has been a great way of putting people fire in their bellies about free speech again, and realising how important it is, how community is so important. This is a very big thing. This was born out of the ashes of the fact that I was pushed out of my gig in radio because I said, no, I don't want the jab. And I thought, well, I mean, okay, radio is something I've been passionate about and I've loved and been involved with, I think I started like 1990. So I was 2.
Are you that old?
I was 2. I was a 2-year-old.
Someone had to say it wasn't me.
Felix. But it's wonderful because you're absolutely right. I think that a lot of negative came out of it, but I think a lot of positive came out of it as well. I've got a comment there from
I'm not
Donnie
sure
as
about
well.
Donnie.
Donnie?
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way, Donnie, but I'm not sure. I think people are seeing through the garbage, and I think the memes say it all. It's like, monkeypox now. What's next? It's like everyone just takes the mickey out of it.
Yeah, but good on Donnie for making the comment.
Absolutely.
And into next pandemic. Well, look,
a
lot of people feel that way, and I completely understand that.
Totally.
But you're right. We are very much
meme wars.
And I'd like to pass back to Martine as our special guest, if that's okay. So, was COVID a scam?
I think that I can only speak personally from my experience, is that it was a psychological warfare and it was a spiritual warfare to see who was going to succumb to the level of fear from external sources and who was going to invest in the fear and not really doing their own research at the time because they either didn't have the confidence or didn't know where to start, but they had given over sort of a sense of power that there is the government, there are all these scientists, everyone's out there going, oh, you're going to die. And like, you know, literally when you look back now and say, you know, Miguel is like, it's going to chase you down. And
even
it's going
if
to
you're in the
find you.
desert.
That's right. But no. Remember, you're completely safe if you're sitting down with a drink in your hand. You're safe because it goes over your head.
Oh,
you
yeah.
stand up. It's very dangerous.
That's correct.
It was ridiculous.
It was
wasn't
ridiculous.
It was
so
really,
to me,
really ridiculous.
The scam is when it's okay to keep bottle shops and liquor stores open,
Well, that was my idea.
but not healers and people that work
Yeah,
on making
no,
people
yeah,
healthy,
yeah.
Yes.
then I would say, I'm going to call scam.
Yeah, absolutely. And Martine, how can we heal, do you think, both individually and as a collective?
So from a spiritual point of view and how I would like someone came to me with an issue, I would say you need to get down to the root cause of what happened and how you got there, what was the incident, what it was. So until we can recognize and it's fully in the light, there's full transparency, so everyone can see all the facts exactly as they are and how things were. We can't backtrack or find a way out of that fully, is what I feel. Many of us are at a point now where we're completely over it. Even the word COVID, I never want to hear again.
Yeah.
I think at some point I'm one of those that like to have a referendum that we'll ban the word COVID.
Yeah.
That I don't want to hear it ever
What
again.
would we call it instead?
Cold or a flu, go to bed and rest.
Cold and flu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the great scamdemic of 2090, I guess it would be. That's what I would call it. The scamdemic of 2019.
90?
19.
19. You said 90. I'm like,
give me
oh,
another
God, I don't
one.
think I'll be alive then.
There's a reason why we call you Martini.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yes.
So I guess that finding the root cause, and the root cause was fear mongering, and you went into the fear or you didn't, and then if you did, why did you? Was it money based? Was it? And there again, I'm going to go back to no judgment, because I know a lot of people that actually succumbed to taking it because they couldn't go and see their partners that were in ICU or they were in some kind of care, or they couldn't get their kids to hospital for surgery, life-saving surgery.
Yeah.
Let's not even going to start that one today because that will trigger me hugely. So all of those things, people took it for reasons that were from goodness in their heart.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
should never judge anyone that's trying to do
No.
the right thing
No.
for their families, putting food on the table. However, when people were lining up and then casting shade on those that didn't, who had done their due diligence and research.
Yeah.
And they were talking, you're no longer invited to the family. You can't come to the Christmas parties and everything else.
That really made it evident who your friends really were.
Oh,
And family.
so true, right?
Who really
that
loved
that
you.
was the part that hit me the most.
Yeah.
That part was,
Yeah.
that really hit, who your friends are and where you stand with people, because the judgment was there.
And knowing that with the research that a lot of people had done, that those that you loved, you were only saying what you probably wanted to say is to save their lives. Because
Oh,
there's a
yeah.
potential for
Honestly,
that.
whenever,
That was it.
Yeah, whenever in history, right, has someone been, and a group of people, but why has someone been condemned for doing their due diligence, for actually doing some research? Like, honestly, I think about how often in my life the doctors have said, take this pill, and I'm just, okay, you just take the pill, right?
Yeah.
Okay? Now, this is an opportunity in my life where I woke up a little bit and went, no, this time I'm going to read the packet.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to look at the side effects. I'm going to ask the questions. I'm going to actually do my own research and find out more about it. And when you saw there were just so many holes in the story, there's just the holes where it was Swiss cheese. Right?
Worse than Swiss
Yeah.
cheese.
It was unbelievable.
It was worse than osteoporosis.
Absolutely.
I don't know where to go on that one.
I know.
But I think that with the healing process, there's a recognition that there's an issue, that there's an issue, right? There is an issue. So I know that miscarriage rates are up. There is all rates of like heart problems The one that's not being talked about that I'd like to is a form of dementia that is showing and displaying
constantly.
And they're not calling it dementia; they're calling it whatever else. It's like a mental impairment or memory impairment, and that to me is the one that's so prevalent right now. Everyone I talk to, it's like, oh, they've got rapid onset dementia. And then you find out they've had 4 of the juice experiment jabs.
Yep.
So that's the one. And so then you go, okay, so where do we go from here? Until we acknowledge that this is the issue, this is what's on the table, where the hell do we go forward in the remedy? Because for me as a healer, it's like it's all about healing the body, helping people detox. That is something that I've been doing and supporting people for at least 3 years in detoxification. And there is certainly ways that people have hugely improved their health and well-being by doing detoxes.
Okay.
And so what do the detoxes look like?
I am, disclaimer, I'm neither a doctor or a medical advisor. So anything from here on is just for informational purposes only and not advice.
Written, spoken, and authorised by the Australian.
So there's NAC. NAC.
Yep.
NAC is one that is very good. Using green herbs like cilantro, also CDS, chlorine dioxide solution under the correct guidance. And then there is organic zeolite. There's a lot of things. So when you're doing detox, you need to remember that having something like zeolite or diatomaceous clay is very good at binding to bring the toxins out of the body and rid them without getting sick again.
Okay.
So
It
that's
rids
what
you
it
of
does.
parasites as well. Assist in the parasitic.
So just while we're on this subject, Martine, on the Worldwide Awake Business Network directory, which was started as a result of this, there is actually a new tab in there, a new section. It's called Time to Heal.
Yep.
And we need some more
Yep.
practitioners and people on there to put links up. Leanne has a link on there, and Leanne's a great resource for anyone that wants to look at healing remedies.
Yeah.
Would you be able to pass that information on?
There is a lot of protocols that we can put forward on there that people obviously hopefully they can download. So the thing is that there is hope. And as they say, early intervention is the best intervention.
Yeah.
So if people are concerned about their health and well-being, I would say do your due diligence, research now. Do not put it off any longer so that you know what feels right for you. So there's lots of different options. Some people deal very well with using CDS, others don't. Upsets their stomach more than other people. Using NAC might be a better option for them, but certainly zeolite takes out, from what I believe and what my experience is, expels heavy metals and nanoparticles out of the body.
I feel like I should know the answer to this, but Leanne or Aaron, you might know. Is there still coercion going on? Do people
Absolutely,
still?
100%.
It's still
Okay.
being advertised.
Absolutely.
It's still being out there, yeah.
So people are still
Fear-mongering.
not able to do their jobs if they don't have their 5th or 6th jab?
There are certain jobs that people aren't able to do when they've had their they haven't had their booster.
The booster.
Doesn't matter what number booster they're up to.
Even now.
There's people that have applied for jobs and they still require on the legality form to be vaccinated.
Correct.
Is that the medical industry?
No, this was
Just a general industry?
This was actually working with aged care.
Wow.
I even saw it in the transport industry. So a guy sitting in a truck, driving a truck on his own.
Because that's what you want is someone who's 7 and 8 and 9 times jabbed. And
I don't know if they had to be boosted up to that point, but they had to have their standard ones that they were given back in the day.
So if anyone's watching,
still now it's on as a requisite when they're going to apply for a job to do
please
that.
comment. If you're watching live or you're watching the replay, do comment and tell us what your experience
By the
is.
way, loving the comments.
Agree.
coming through.
I love
There's
these
so
comments.
much good
There's way
stuff
too
in
much
there.
power.
We need to,
Yeah, and I thoroughly agree. I will tell you this though.
Billy.
A number of friends who are pilots, because of course we
Thanks, Mel.
have the show come fly with me here on Edge. And because of that, I've made friends with a big bunch of pilots. And I'm telling you right now, you know what's really interesting about the pilots industry? Of course, there was the mandates there.
A lot of new ones recently.
There's a lot of new ones recently. And also,
you've taken the words right out of my mouth, Mr. Malloy.
It happens occasionally. And you know also, flights that used to require 2 pilots now require 2 and an unvaxxed one in a lot of cases now.
Wow.
So they are literally changing.
Mic drop.
I've got a really good. Well, I've got a good friend that's actually a
They're not allowed
pilot,
to talk about it.
and he wasn't vaccinated and went back. And I said, if I ever fly, can you be my pilot?
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I was actually going to say is it was really, really evident to me. I went on a couple of flights over to the East Coast. I'm not going to name the airline, but it's going to be very obvious if you're out there, the amount of young pilots. I was like doing this like,
yeah, hang on.
I'm like,
Didn't I used to babysit
25, and I'm like, and they all look like they were 25, and I'm like, and then there was an older one come out of retirement, it would look like too, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, very
and
possible.
I was like, I know what's going on here. And like I said, I'm not going to name the airline that might start with that I saw. But yeah, that one. I'm telling you now that airline that starts with that is the only airline that I will actually fly on right now, because I heard that is
because of all the teenagers.
No, because they are
Because you're looking
newly recruited without the juice.
Well, it's turned a lot of this off.
That's what I was told.
Flying, quite frankly, because I do worry about
absolutely.
the health. There's a reason why when you've got pilots, okay, one has the chicken, one has the fish, right? They all have the different. That's true, though.
Well, I went to
They
Malaysia
do that.
recently, so and I actually didn't think about it. I tried to push it out of my head.
Well done on that. Yeah, look, it has changed the world. We all know that. And look, I think life gives us a lot of opportunities. And I think that let's not look at it. Obviously, we have to focus on the negative to a degree. I think the people responsible need to be held accountable.
Yeah,
right?
that's what needs to happen.
And I don't care if it sounds like vengeance. It's a little bit of vengeance, but I think you need accountability.
There has to be accountability.
It really does.
Otherwise, we're going to make the same mistake again. If we don't go, it's a bit like raising a child, and you just don't put any boundaries in line and go, there's going to be consequences for your actions. People need to be jailed. People need to have their money removed from them because it was crimes against humanity. As far as I was one of the people who served cease and desist orders against doctors and pharmacists.
Right.
Yeah,
I had doctors.
So what does that mean, Martine?
So it was an internationally written document that we were able to get a hold of, and it was written by a lawyer, and it says, we hereby believe that this could be causing harm, blah, blah, blah. We are here to serve you this cease and desist order to stop vaccinating people with the COVID-19 vaccines, as we believe they may cause harm. Any harm that comes from a vaccine which would cause this could result in a Nuremberg 2.0 trial. So they were being handed out to doctors, and we had things thrown at us, very composed pharmacists throwing projectiles at us. A doctor laughed at us and ripped it up and said, this is all a joke, and then this is a scam. And unfortunately, that doctor now is no longer able to practice because he has COVID. He has a vaccine injury from it now. So he's no longer working.
But back in the day, at the beginning, the doctors never had to be vaccinated.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yes.
they had an exemption for quite a while.
They had exemption for a very long time.
Why?
Yeah.
Don't know.
This is the question, right?
Yeah.
Look, when this all started and we saw all those films, those terrifying films from the UK, from, oh my God, look what's happening in Italy.
Yeah.
Oh, the Italy ones where it was all mannequins.
The Italy ones, which, was file footage, a lot of it, these from staged events. They were fake, absolutely fake. And, if a government's trying to frighten you into something, I get it to a degree, but you're trying to incentivize people to go and get the shot. But to have the whole thing on false pretenses shows that, quite frankly, that they're dishonest to start with, right?
They'll go to any extent to manipulate you into to believing what their narrative is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
100%.
And it was very divisive. And even now we know families that still don't talk to one another.
Yeah.
Which is just heartbreaking. But when you were talking about fear before, what came into my mind was that somebody shared with me some time ago, and it's always stuck, that there's two emotions, and it's fear and love. and you're either working from a place of fear or a place of love.
Or somewhere in
really,
that spectrum. That's
I
correct.
really resonated with that.
Yeah.
So now if something upsets me, that's what I ask myself, Lisa, where is that coming from? Can it come from a place of love?
And
What would love do now?
And speaking of that, what sort of support is out there now for people?
So, and that's the thing that is making me angry, is how long it's taken for this government to acknowledge that people have been injured, people have died, people, and they have not put some kind of motion forward to have it stopped and banned in Australia. That makes me angry, because without that step, we can't move forward into healing these people, and that's what grinds my gears, because in a couple of weeks, it's 5 years since our borders closed.
Yeah. Okay. Look, let's just look at that's
5 years.
Then let's look at a stat. Let's talk about a stat here, right? Now,
I have no idea.
If there is a 1 to 3% change in the birth rate, okay, 3% is considered to be a crisis, okay, population. All these years, and they do the census, and all the numbers that are done about child raising in Australia, okay? Yeah. Explain this to me. After all of these injections were put out, okay, why has the birth rate, okay, dropped 18%?
It's close to 20 now.
Yeah, well, it's been consistently, it actually
20.
hit 28 at one point.
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
But yeah, it's sustained at about 18 to 20, spot on. So, I mean, please explain that to me. This is absolutely ridiculous. Why is our government not?
People didn't feel like having sex?
Oh, bullshit. You're all off the phone.
So that's where it's not true, because during lockdown, you saw the absolute, you could see that the birth rate went insane during lockdown from March until the end of the year, beginning, before the rollout of the jab, though. Yeah, and
correct.
It spiked, and then it dropped completely.
Like, just to make a little comment about what you've just said there, do you know that if there's a blackout in a city, right, that stats show that there's
9 months later,
9 months, there is actually a spike in the population.
Oh, wow. Maybe that's what all the wind turbines are about. We're going to have blackouts and all these
Maybe
babies.
that's what they're trying to do, replace all the babies. How nice. Isn't that sweet? Hey, lots of really good comments coming through, and I want to bring this one up. Let's bring this one up, please. I did have it there before, but I want to comment on it. Now, Donnie, there we go. No, Liberals are brainwashed, follow whatever the TV says. Very, very true indeed.
I want to speak about the media as well when you finish doing
absolutely.
Yeah, most of them need to be hung and quartered.
There was another one that I wanted to talk about, which I appear to have lost.
Yeah, the Fauci one.
Fauci one?
Oh, no, we're way back there.
Bill Gates, no?
No, look, there's so many there.
Maybe just go through and pop them all up.
Yeah, I have. I've actually gone through them all.
Oh, okay.
But
no, for everyone to see.
Okay,
I mean,
just as far as the Liberals bit goes, I want to mention something. Obviously, I would assume that Donnie's from the US, because a Liberal in Australia is very different to a Liberal in, of course, America. In America, you're Democrats, which is, I mean, the most mentally ill party you could possibly imagine. I don't care. I'm so pro-Trump, it's not funny. I think that what they've done, the way they've damaged people, the way they've destroyed society, the way they've damaged the value of women over the last 4 years with the, what is a woman? I mean, it's ludicrous.
What's a woman and what they've done to children.
Yeah, those two issues
Sexual identity.
are just disgraceful. So a Liberal in America is those lunatics. There's some people who've got more open ideas.
In Australia, it's different.
In Australia, it's the conservative side, so it's a flip on that one. Just wanted to make that clear. And you've also put something about some manufacturers here, if I can bring that
exempt from prosecution in the US.
Absolutely. Yep, they are exempt from
they made themselves exempt, but that doesn't mean we did.
Now, I'm going to just jump on that one. You've just mentioned the media, okay? So, all right, the media, let's talk about the media. I'll talk about the media, because this is the reality of it. A radio station I used to work for.
We all want to talk about it as well, though.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Where's your water pistol?
Where's the water pistol when you need
No water pistol. I found it in the other room. Anyway, I got to go with this. People don't understand that, okay, media entities who bought into and sold the lies about COVID-19, those who sold that narrative, didn't pay tax for 2 years. Now, that's an incentive. You didn't have to. Now, the station I used to work for, okay, and I didn't agree with their methods, we'll call it that way. 70% of the station's budget came from government. Okay, that means that government has complete control of that station. They do, because they control whether it goes under or not. That's a very big thing, 70%, and that is actually common with a lot of stations. And don't be fooled by community stations here in Australia. Community stations are owned, generally speaking, when I say owned, they're owned by the community, but they're completely financially controlled by the Australian Labor Party.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about it. That's a fact.
Except us.
Well, we are not a community. We're a station for the community. We're not a community station. Very different.
Exactly.
So what was your experience with the media, Leanne?
I just turned the TV off.
Best thing you can do.
Yeah.
It was called when we're not feeling 100% or we had to stay inside or whatever we had to do. We would go to friends' places usually, and crack a beer. But it was Netflix. I didn't put the mainstream media on.
Yeah.
No, why did
So I found it really difficult from the perspective that so many people, and look, I became so much more self-aware during that time. And for that, I'm very grateful. I didn't realize how brainwashed I had been by the media for the last 40, 50 years. And I just assumed that, like everybody else, well, like a lot of people, like whatever came on 60 Minutes or A Current Affair or Channel 7 or Channel 9 or because that was what I was used to. That was my life.
Yeah.
And if it told me this is what the weather was going to be and this was happening in the world, I never really gave it too much thought.
But it's great now because you can watch occasionally and you know what the current agenda is. It's fantastic.
It was funny when you were watching occasionally and the shingles vaccine came up.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh,
Yeah, and they were all doing the same.
Yeah.
And for anybody that was awake at that time, they were actually showing all the different clips, weren't they, from the different stations? And they were literally saying exactly the same thing. Hundreds of mainstream media across the world.
It was so good, though, now to turn the news on occasionally and go, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
That is
bit of a
hilarious.
laugh, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Because we are now so aware, right? Back then, I didn't know what I was really. I didn't know where I wanted to be and what I was thinking. All I knew was it was wrong. I didn't want to do it. I wasn't going to go down that path. And for me, when I do something like that, I shut myself down.
Okay.
I don't go delving into any rabbit holes. I'm not a Martine. I don't go into rabbit holes. I just go, I'm just going to keep myself safe and the doors
and then
get
you look
closed.
for other awake communities, and that's why
that's how we
are
met.
in one another's life. Yeah.
See? We have a love
Yeah,
affair.
for me,
You should have a mining license. You go that far down those rabbit holes.
Yeah. She
well,
needs
I was
one.
receiving, like, I can't say too much because I don't want this to be pulled from the network. But
No,
I was
don't do that to
receiving-
our
I
show.
wouldn't do that. Only on your
I love you
show. But I was receiving videos almost 10 years ago that are sort of resurfacing now. And actually, it was probably further along. And I remember I was getting videos and then my laptop was getting shut down remotely. So when you say going down the rabbit hole, obviously people that I was in contact with overseas and stuff, the US mostly, were leaking videos and footage and all kinds of stuff that I was like, what? What am I looking at? And I'd like, so I for me, like this 5 years has been like pulling a tooth, probably one little jab, like little tug once a year. It's like just rip that sucker out. It's
like a nightmare. It was like a nightmare.
I still feel like we're ready. I'm ready to fully exit all of this narrative dialogue, the whole thing. I feel like spiritually and energetically, I've always been on the other side.
Okay.
For me, if someone had sat me down and give me some sort of background information that I could flick through and go, yeah, that resonates, or I can confer with that or whatever, I would have been good probably a month in and going, I'm done. I don't need to look at it anymore. That's how I felt, but that's me. And my journey has been very, very different. And like you said, for you, it gave the opportunity to wake up.
Yeah.
And this is where I think it is that those that have been doing a lot of spiritual work and committed to that for a long time were in a pause or a cycle where everyone else was given a chance to catch up. And I think that was the silver lining in all of this, that this is where humanity did wake up.
Thank you for the great awakening.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And it's still going and it's still happening and people are still coming on that train. And it's not even about it, and I'm not ditching Christianity or any of those people with belief in any of that. It's about where you belong and who you belong with. And it's about coming into your own and being that person that steps outside and starts lifting other people up.
Absolutely.
Right? It's about, it doesn't matter where you come from. I don't care if you're, from what country, as long as we can come together, we can actually lift and rise the whole
It's
world.
all about the collective consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can lift and rise
the
whole
love and
world.
acceptance for one another.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need community. Okay, we need other people. Like, so being a solitary person is not great for you. We see so much of that going on in the world. So many people are so isolated, and it brings so much value to your life to share your experiences with others.
That was the whole thing with the division. That's why they wanted to have that divisive.
You're weaker, aren't you?
I think that backfired.
Yeah,
To a degree.
I think that what we're seeing now is then the further separation. I feel like it's been like a layers of sieving through people who were aware and awake, people that understood sort of the political side, that were able to look at the medical side and understand it. So there was layers of sifting through, and now there are people that will not accept this really is even as truth with all the information that's presented to them, and they don't want to change their thinking. And then there's others that have buyer's remorse, and like I said, I've been sort of there as part of the process helping support people.
I feel really sorry for people that have what you call buyer's remorse. Like, that breaks my heart.
People, you can see it because they blank. They're like, I don't talk about it.
Yeah.
I found it different.
Yeah.
They just like, you can see their body language change, and you're just like, you do realize there are ways to back this up and heal the body. And because vaccine injuries is nothing new. Should we say that as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's not just about healing the body either. It's about healing the emotion and the mind and the feelings
I
behind it.
think you have to heal that first before you can even
to be
heal
able to
it.
heal
With this one,
everything.
because it's in the mind.
Yeah.
People realize that what's in their body, they want it out. So it's like they have to activate that higher consciousness
Yes, correct.
to push through what they've done and just go, I can move through this.
Yeah.
I can overcome this.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's where their spiritual awakening has happened. I think the next awakening is going to be some market crash situation. And that'll wake the rest of them up.
Yeah, I thought maybe it'll be a shutdown of some of the internet.
It'll be this stuff.
But speaking about support, I think that for those out there who are still coming to terms with all this COVID, still coming to terms with what's happened, I think there's a great support systems out there, as in community support, right? It's not just about individuals going and getting support, but as a collective, look at us four sitting here. We have the support with Edge Radio Australia. We have the support with Worldwide Awake Business Networking Group. You have the support of Martine's Boats. I love that. I have to say Martini. I can never say Martine. Because, it's people like her that can actually assist you in actually detoxing and bringing awareness to that spirituality and bringing awareness to where you're coming out and coming from. And then, there's body workers like myself.
Yeah, I was going to ask you actually, because you are a healer as well.
Absolutely.
And you were talking about healing the body. So when you have somebody on the table, maybe just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's not just about healing the body, because we do a little bit of mind, body, Bowen. So it's about bringing awareness. And this is what I was taught really well and early on, is bringing awareness to people so that they can become aware of their body, because people are so far up in their head, they're not bringing it back to their body.
I wonder who you're talking about.
I have no idea, Lisa, but I remember you being on a Bowen table once and going,
and I'm not allowed back.
no, you're not, that's not happening.
The door is locked.
Did she have pressure point that turn it off? It's
Welded shut.
off.
So there are things that you can do, and if you ever feel that way, don't be afraid to reach out.
Look what Trish has just written. How absolutely spot on is that comment?
Find your tribe.
Find your tribe. And that's been a wonderful thing that's come out of so much of this. It really is so true. I think about my life. I had a lot of fake people in my life before, and this wonderful thing called COVID, the old Wu flu. Tell you what, the rubbish took its the Wu flu. I always say Wu flu.
I didn't say that before.
that.
She didn't go down that rabbit hole.
Oh dear. I wish I'd put a patent on Down with McClown. I would have made a fortune.
Yeah,
I came up with that, damn it.
Did you?
Yeah, that's me. Never mind.
Gosh.
All right. Well,
You would have. You could
That's
have
all I've ever
marketing
called him since then, McClown.
McClown.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, when I
For
look at it,
anyone
anyway,
that's
it's a whole other-
actually watching from other parts of the world, he was actually our
Premier.
Premier.
Yeah, and I want to say
State.
something about him on that front because, okay, this big, powerful position of Premier, didn't we see what a pathetic, weak little man he
Yeah,
was?
where
right?
is he?
When we saw him and watch him run like hell,
Yeah.
I tell you right now, like, okay,
Doesn't live in
I
Rockingham
would never
anymore, does
promote
he?
violence, but I'm sure that I'm very, very confident that Mark McGowan, down with McLeod,
Yeah.
I'm sure that he was taken behind the bike shed at school quite a few times.
The thing
I'm just
that,
saying.
Oh, that's sad.
The thing for
Sorry
me,
to
and I
hear
know
that,
that
Connie.
we're coming, towards the
So
end,
sorry to hear that.
but
Oh, that's
Oh.
sad. Yes, too many, Donny. Too many.
Yes, the products that I mentioned are available in the US as well, Donnie.
Yeah. They are.
Absolutely.
So there's lots of websites out there, Donny, and anyone else listening that are wanting to detox. There are online doctors and naturopaths and herbalists. There's so many people out there, and all you have to do is start doing your research and join some of those communities. Sometimes they're on Facebook.
Yep.
There's a lot on Telegram. There's all kinds of communities out there that are supporting getting that out of the body and healing the body, because it's a journey that we're all going through, because those that chose to not partake are now looking after those that did. And that's where it's like a triple, a quadruple, a fifth time, a seventh and eighth whammy for us, unfortunately, because all we did was try to avoid this at all costs and tell our family members
and
and people I love.
save the people we love.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
now
as my
we're
T-shirt
having-
says, protect our children.
Protect
Spot on.
children.
Protect
That's
our
right.
children.
Seeing kids having to be jabbed, knowing that kids had to be jabbed to going into
Oh, yeah.
levers, that is pure evil.
Oh, look,
and McGowan, you will go down for that one. That
You know
let
what?
that happen.
I actually put in legal paperwork to the Department of Education here in Western Australia and to my children's school directly to say that I did not authorise them to give my children the jab, and they did anyway.
Yeah, terrible.
Okay, so there you go, and that shows the contempt they have. And I think this is a very important little lesson we've all learned
Yeah.
from this: is the government is not your friend.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
simple as that.
I don't think Big Pharma is too.
No,
very,
Big
very
Pharma
good.
can go
True.
suck a
Now,
banana.
so Donnie's got some great comments, mate. You are busy. You are flying along. Actually, it's a great opportunity to say this.
Yeah.
This is a community, and the one thing we need to do is really grow this community.
Oh,
So
bless her.
I really ask everybody who sees this video, to like, share, tag, do all the things that you need to do, because we want to get this word out to as many people as possible. This is a movement. We
Yeah.
are changing
Yeah,
the
we
world.
are, we are.
Right?
And,
and we need your help.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
Donnie, I'll take some time out and just send you. I might be able to send you some stuff through Facebook.
That's
if
wonderful,
you want.
dude.
Yeah, there's a few
We'll reach out
protocols
to
that we
that
could
on
send
that
through.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is fantastic. All right, look, Martine, any final thoughts for the show
Martine.
today?
That this has been a massive awakening for humanity, and it's a time to come back through compassion.
Yep.
But it's also a time to have hope where so many have lost it. So I think that being out there and giving people hope is the most important thing, because a lot of people are feeling overwhelmed and hopeless. But there is lots of avenues to keep turning to, so don't forget that.
1,000% agree.
Yeah.
Lisa, your final thoughts?
Be a critical thinker and follow your gut.
Like that? Yeah.
And reach out if you ever need any help with anything. We're all here, so reach out.
I love that. That is fantastic. All right, with that, we'll end the show. Thank you very much, ladies, for, just your incredible presence.
Thank
Tell
you,
what,
Mr. Malloy.
I am surrounded by beautiful women who have the most gorgeous minds and souls, and I'm very, very lucky.
Thank you for having me today. And your
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Martine. It's
Right.
been so nice.
It has been the one thing
We
here
love
on
you.
Edge Radio Australia.